The Art Depot in London stood still to behold works of art done by contemporary artist Vivian Ajodo, whose paintings explore the African woman, her strength and beauty. Clad in a native attire, contemporary artist Vivian Ajodo sticks out like a sore thumb among the handful of viewers who have come to see her solo show, which salutes the sugar, spice and everything nice the African woman brings to the table through colorful paintings.
I liked to explore. I loved the fluidity of the paints, how they flow on papers, and the fact that, watercolors availed me the opportunity to mix. So it perked up my curiosity. I wanted to explore more.
She uses beautiful colours and textures. And I also love these paintings because they tackle the ever-controversial concept of who is woman. Whether she's a daughter, a sister, a mother or a grandma, she plays a really important, valuable role in society, and it's very much underrepresented and underappreciated. She's no stranger to struggles either. On a daily basis, she faces challenges as to her identity.
Her foray into the art world came from an attentive father who nudged her to embrace the humanities, even though she thought her passion was in the sciences.
When I got to the university level, I was going to study pharmacy, but my dad encouraged me to go into architecture because architecture was close to what my potential was. When I was in nursery school, I loved to draw, and over time my dad recognized my talent.
And while studying architecture, curiosity got the best of her when she went to buy some materials.
We could do a lot on paper as architects, but when I went to buy instruments from the shops, I saw a whole world of mediums like paints, like brushes, and it was so curious. It was a very exciting experience for me, and I started buying them little by little. And that was how I continued to explore. I started with portraits too. I started doing faces, and then little paintings, like because we used to do sketch. There's a course on sketches in architecture, so it availed me the opportunity to do still life drawings, painting landscapes, people, and all that. So it's like building me up there.
Years later, Getting Hitched sealed the deal and brought out a talent which was screaming for release.
When I finally got married, I exploded. My husband was very, very instrumental to helping me to go deep into my talent too, because most of these materials were very expensive. I wanted to buy them. He was very instrumental to my being able to acquire most of these instruments that I use in my craft.
That explains her passion for womanhood and the need for the African woman to chase her dreams and not allow them to die, or that she has a supportive masculine figure behind the scene. It's written all over her paintings in works such as Recognition, a mixed media work of art done with beads and other materials. It captures a woman as a heroine, strong and able to conquer any obstacle on her path.
I wanted to narrow down particularly on the rural woman, because she plays a lot of roles to the upliftment of her economy and her family, and sometimes she's not given the kind of appreciation she should be given.
To other works which show her as a provider, trying to get the necessary skills that support her, one that will enable her to earn money to take care of the family.
Pottery making is practiced by virtually most ethnic groups in Africa, and it's a craft that women do to help to subsidize for their family's needs. It's a craft that's passed from generation to generation, and it's usually done by women. It's very, very unique. When they do this, they usually take these items to the market to sell them, and they're able to get something to help sustain their families. So that's why It's called the potters.
And then actually feeding the family by preparing a meal, which is an interesting communal effort in some places, so all hands have to be on deck.
As children, we learn from this. We learn the importance of family. We learn the importance of togetherness. And we grow up with that to, teach our families those kind of values. And as a young lady, for me, it's very important because I learned to cook for large numbers of people based on what I've seen these mothers do. So that's why I called it the cookhouse.
I've seen a really interesting variation of technique and content, and I've seen how Vivian's used a lot of research in her paintings, because it's not, each one is telling a story, but even her backgrounds and her brushstrokes and her colors actually belong to a narrative and a research that she's done before she's even started painting, which is quite an interesting way of going about it.
The art enthusiasts, who are mainly female, are impressed with the color, subject, and the fact that she has not boxed herself in a corner in the interpretation of the works.
Very interesting to look at the different cultures, mentality, art, style, the dressings, the hairstyles, ladies' figures. It's amazing, yes. The color, very good.
So you'll see there's different painterly techniques, different shapes for the woman, different shapes for bits of their anatomy. She's used more realism in some and less realism in others. So she's really growing and not pigeonholing herself into one type of genre, one type of style. And I think that's really interesting. She's used some symbolism, she's used some accurate sort of details, but there's still so much exploration, which is very interesting. So each painting is quite different.
While this art enthusiast talks about the pieces which have caught her eye and the experience which has reshaped her perception.
One of my favourite paintings is The Harvesters, where the women are working, toiling all day in the field for the families. And the African woman loves to create with her hands, whether she's braiding, cooking, sewing, and she receives blessings from this activity.
Images of Africa flash on the screens globally, mostly playing up the dark aspect of the continent. Poverty, hunger, strife and corruption are topics that know no boundaries. This exhibition is small, but a meaningful contribution that Vivian is sharing with her guests in London, so they can see the African woman and the place she calls home in a different light.